Consider for a moment the quiet space within you, where thoughts echo and feelings reside. We navigate a world that often demands a relentless pursuit of perfection, a constant striving for more, better, faster. In this ceaseless current, we learn to extend a gentle hand to a struggling friend, offering words of solace, understanding, and forgiveness when they falter. We see their humanity, their inherent worth, and we instinctively offer a balm to their wounds. A loved one makes a mistake, experiences a setback, or feels the sting of inadequacy, and our natural inclination is to console, to reassure, to remind them of their inherent goodness. To see past the temporary stumble to the enduring spirit, we readily offer grace, patience, and a non-judgmental ear, believing wholeheartedly in their capacity to rise again, to learn, to grow. Yet when the very same stumble occurs within our own lives, when we make a misstep, fall short of an ideal, or feel the ache of our own human limitations, a different, often harsher voice takes hold. This internal critic, honed over years, can be relentless, unforgiving, and profoundly isolating. It whispers of inadequacy, magnifies flaws, and often denies the very kindness we so freely bestow upon others. We might find ourselves caught in a cycle of self-blame, shame, or a corrosive sense of not being enough, even when the external circumstances are identical to those for which we'd offer boundless empathy to someone else. This stark discrepancy between how we treat ourselves and how we treat others is not merely a common experience. It is a profound philosophical paradox embedded in the fabric of human consciousness. This phenomenon leads us to a compelling inquiry. What if the most radical, most transformative act of kindness isn't directed outward but inward? What if the path to genuine resilience, to a more authentic and enduring sense of well-being, lies in learning to treat ourselves with the same warmth, understanding, and acceptance we so readily extend to those we care about? The idea that self-compassion is simply giving the same kindness to ourselves that we would give to others sounds deceptively simple, yet its practice often feels like scaling an insurmountable peak. Why is this so? Is it a sign of weakness to acknowledge our own pain with tenderness? Is it a form of self-indulgence to offer ourselves comfort in times of distress? Or is it perhaps a profound act of courage, a fundamental reorientation of our relationship with the self that challenges deeply ingrained societal narratives about strength, vulnerability, and personal worth? This isn't merely a suggestion for psychological comfort. It is an invitation to a deeper philosophical stance, an exploration into the very nature of our being and our capacity for a more complete, integrated existence. It asks us to confront the origins of our self-criticism, to question the utility of constant self-judgment, and to consider the profound implications of cultivating an inner landscape of acceptance rather than relentless condemnation. To embark on this journey is to challenge long-held assumptions about motivation, about growth, and about what it truly means to live a life imbued with wisdom and genuine self-understanding. It is to consider whether our constant striving, fueled by self-reproach, might actually be hindering the very flourishing we seek. The questions linger in the air, inviting us to pause and reflect. What does it truly mean to be kind to oneself, not as an occasional indulgence, but as a foundational practice? How might such a shift transform not only our internal world, but also our interactions with others and our engagement with the world at large? This isn't about ignoring our imperfections or absolving ourselves of responsibility. Rather, it's about approaching our humanity, in all its messy complexity, with an open heart and a clear mind. It is about understanding that our struggles, our pain, and our imperfections are not deviations from the human experience, but rather intrinsic parts of it, connecting us to a shared tapestry of existence. Join me, then, as we embark on a quiet journey into the heart of this often misunderstood quality. We will explore the value of self-compassion, not as a fleeting sentiment, but as a profound philosophical principle that has the power to reshape our inner lives and redefine our understanding of what it means to live well. Let us delve into the depths of this concept, unraveling its layers and discovering how a gentle turning inward might just be the most powerful revolution of all. Having acknowledged the profound internal disparity in how we treat ourselves versus others, it becomes imperative to articulate precisely what this transformative practice of self-compassion entails. It is more than a mere sentiment. It is a profound philosophical stance, a deliberate cultivation of a particular relationship with our own suffering and imperfection. At its core, self-compassion is comprised of three intertwined components, each essential for its full realization, working in concert to foster an inner environment of understanding and resilience. First, there is self-kindness, which stands in direct opposition to the often harsh self-judgment we inflict upon ourselves. When confronted with personal failings, mistakes, or simply the inherent difficulties of life, self-kindness prompts us to respond with warmth and understanding, rather than criticism and condemnation. Imagine a beloved sapling, buffeted by a storm. One would not chastise its bent branches or torn leaves, but rather gently support it, providing sustenance and shelter until it regains its strength. This component asks us to apply that same tender, supportive stance to our own experiences of pain and inadequacy. It is about actively comforting ourselves, speaking to ourselves with encouraging words, and recognizing that suffering is an intrinsic part of the human condition, not a personal failing to be punished. This isn't about ignoring our shortcomings, but rather approaching them with a gentle curiosity, creating a safe internal space for learning and growth, rather than one riddled with fear and self-reproach. The second crucial element is common humanity. This involves recognizing that our personal struggles, our feelings of inadequacy, and our imperfections are not unique to us, but are universal experiences shared by all human beings. We are all flawed, we all make mistakes, we all face moments of pain, loss, and disappointment. When we stumble, it is easy to feel isolated, as if we are the only ones grappling with such difficulties, leading to feelings of shame and a profound sense of loneliness. However, common humanity allows us to step back and see our personal suffering as a thread in the vast, intricate tapestry of shared human experience. It reminds us that our brokenness connects us, rather than separates us, fostering a sense of belonging and dissolving the corrosive illusion of being uniquely defective. This perspective helps us to contextualize our pain, understanding that it is a part of the grander narrative of life, rather than an indictment of our individual worth. Finally, the third pillar is mindfulness. This isn't about dwelling on our pain or getting lost in self-pity, but rather about observing our thoughts and emotions with a balanced awareness. Mindfulness allows us to acknowledge and experience our suffering without being overwhelmed or consumed by it. It means taking a step back, like an observer watching clouds drift across the sky, noticing the pain, the sadness, the frustration, without becoming entangled in their narrative. It's about being present with what is, rather than suppressing our feelings or exaggerating them. This balanced awareness prevents us from over-identifying with our negative emotions, allowing us to hold them gently in our consciousness, recognizing them as transient experiences rather than definitive statements about our identity. It offers a crucial space for clarity, enabling us to respond to our suffering with wisdom, rather than reacting impulsively from a place of distress. These three components, self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness, together form the robust framework of self-compassion. It is a dynamic and active process, not a passive state. It invites us to turn towards our pain with courage, to acknowledge our shared humanity, and to hold our experiences in a mindful embrace. It is fundamentally distinct from self-pity, which tends to magnify one's suffering and often leads to self-absorption, severing connections with others. Likewise, it is not a form of self-indulgence that avoids responsibility. Rather, it creates the psychological safety necessary to genuinely examine our actions and motivations without the paralyzing fear of self-condemnation. This profound concept, therefore, offers not just solace but a powerful foundation for genuine growth, resilience, and a more integrated relationship with oneself. It is a radical act of self-acceptance that paradoxically empowers us to navigate life's challenges with greater strength and grace. Reflecting on this journey so far, we have traversed the intricate landscape of our inner lives, moving from the initial flicker of a poignant question to a more defined understanding of how we relate to our own human experience. We began by observing a curious imbalance, the boundless empathy we often extend to others, contrasted with the frequently unforgiving gaze we turn upon ourselves. This exploration has since deepened, revealing not just a psychological tendency, but a profound philosophical challenge embedded within the very architecture of our being. We have considered the nuanced layers of this radical internal shift, recognizing it not as a simple indulgence but as a deliberate and courageous practice, a conscious reorientation of our internal compass. As these threads of inquiry begin to intertwine, a more expansive vision emerges. It becomes clear that the manner in which we engage with our own imperfections and distress is not merely a private affair, confined to the quiet chambers of the mind. Instead, it ripples outward, influencing the very quality of our presence in the world, the authenticity of our connections, and the resilience with which we meet life's inevitable storms. When the internal landscape is one of constant judgment and harsh expectation, it is akin to navigating a dense fog, where every step is tentative and the path forward obscured. Yet when we cultivate a different internal climate, one characterized by a gentle yet clear awareness, the mists begin to recede, revealing a more robust and compassionate path. This isn't about ignoring the precipices or denying the challenges. Rather, it's about approaching them with a steady hand and an open heart, acknowledging our inherent vulnerability, not as a weakness to be overcome, but as a shared truth to be embraced. The implications of this shift extend beyond personal solace. They touch upon our fundamental capacity for growth, for learning from our missteps without being paralyzed by them, and for forging a more integrated sense of self. To turn inward with a spirit of understanding is to unlock a profound wellspring of strength, not the brittle strength of rigid perfection, but the supple, enduring strength that arises from acceptance and an unwavering connection to our shared humanity. It is to recognize that our struggles are not deviations from the norm, but rather integral chapters in the universal narrative of existence, connecting us to every other striving soul. This realization dissolves the isolating walls of self-blame, transforming individual suffering into a collective resonance and fostering a deeper sense of belonging in the vast human experience. This journey of thought compels us to consider how our deepest convictions about self-worth are formed, and whether they truly serve our flourishing. It invites us to question the efficacy of a life driven by an incessant internal whip, proposing instead a more sustainable and profoundly human approach. The cultivation of this inner stance is not a passive surrender, but an active mindful engagement with the entirety of who we are, fostering a fertile ground for genuine transformation. It is about understanding that true wisdom often begins not with relentless self-critique, but with a foundational kindness, a recognition that the capacity to heal, to learn, and to evolve is deeply intertwined with our capacity for self-acceptance. As we stand at this juncture, poised on the precipice of deeper understanding, we are invited to consider the profound liberation that awaits when we allow the light of our own inherent goodness to illuminate even our most shadowed corners, preparing us for a final enduring insight into the very heart of human flourishing. We have journeyed through the intricate landscapes of self-perception, peeling back the layers of societal expectation and internal critique to reveal a profound truth. The capacity for kindness we so readily offer to others is not an infinite resource reserved solely for external distribution. It resides, equally potent and equally necessary, within the very core of our own being, awaiting our recognition and deliberate cultivation. The essence of self-compassion, as we have explored, is not a naive overlooking of our flaws or a retreat into self-indulgence. Instead, it is a courageous act of conscious engagement with our own humanity, a commitment to meet our pain, our imperfections, and our struggles with the same warmth, understanding, and balanced awareness we would extend to a cherished friend. It is, in its deepest sense, a radical reevaluation of what constitutes true strength and genuine well-being. This philosophical turning inward is far more than a mere psychological tool. It is a fundamental reorientation of our relationship with ourselves and, by extension, with the world. When we choose to embrace self-kindness, to recognize our common humanity in moments of personal suffering, and to observe our inner turmoil with mindful presence, we are not simply alleviating discomfort. We are, in fact, laying the groundwork for an unparalleled resilience, a deeper capacity for genuine growth, and an authentic connection to the vast shared experience of being human. The constant internal battle, the relentless pursuit of an unattainable perfection fueled by self-reproach, often depletes our vital energy and stifles our creative spirit. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of fear and inadequacy, preventing us from fully showing up in our shadows, not with aversion, but with a willingness to understand and integrate them. It is here that we discover a wellspring of intrinsic worth, independent of external validation or flawless performance. This inherent worth is not something to be earned or proven. It is a birthright, a foundational truth that once acknowledged, reshapes our entire perception of self. The true practice begins now, not as a grand, sweeping gesture, but in the quiet moments of everyday life. It is in the gentle hand placed over the heart when a wave of self-doubt washes over us. It is in the conscious choice to offer ourselves a moment of understanding when a task proves more challenging than anticipated. It is in the quiet acknowledgement that, like all beings, we are imperfect, vulnerable, and deserving of kindness simply because we exist. This isn't about excusing harmful behavior or avoiding responsibility. Rather, it's about creating the internal safety necessary to truly examine our actions, learn from them, and move forward with greater wisdom and integrity. It is the foundation upon which genuine accountability and authentic transformation are built, allowing us to evolve not out of fear, but out of a deep and abiding care for ourselves. To embrace self-compassion, then, is to embark on a journey of profound self-discovery, inviting us to shed the heavy armor of self-judgment and step into the light of our own inherent goodness. It is to recognize that the most powerful form of love we can cultivate begins within, radiating outwards to enrich our relationships and illuminate our path in the world. As you continue your own unique journey, may you remember that the most enduring strength is often found not in the absence of vulnerability, but in the courageous act of meeting your own human experience with an open heart. May you grant yourself the same boundless grace you would offer to another, for in that gentle turning inward lies the profound key to a life lived with greater peace, resilience, and an unwavering sense of belonging. The quiet revolution of kindness begins with you, now, in this very moment.